Hello and welcome to another Project Diablo 2 video. I am Kordesh and today we're going to be covering something very interesting, and that is soloing dungeons as a cursed necromancer. Let's get into it. Alright, so yeah, this is the dungeon. I've basically never done this solo before. I think I might have tried to do it in groups and stuff in the past, but let me go ahead and slam this and then I'll kind of take a little picture of this. So we've got notable stuff. Not that dense. There's a lot of rarity, but they have 10% maximum life, 25% velocity. The cold and fire absorb, completely irrelevant. The replenish life, kind of annoying, but not a deal breaker. And then CBF, honestly, it doesn't matter for me because I'm not freezing them. So pretty good rolls here. I honestly didn't even really look at the mods, and we just kind of threw it in. So the first thing that you're going to note is these blunder boars or whatever, these Udwars. They can be resurrected. Those other little Stygian dolls can be resurrected. But that's kind of it. There's a lot of monsters you can't. So there's going to be a monster that casts Frozen Orb that you can't resurrect. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to speed this up quite a bit. Because, again, this is a very, very long situation. So we're going to go 4x speed, which is going to be very, very fast. As you can see, like I almost die many different times, but I never did. The most difficult and scary thing was the positioning, and kind of I just don't know what to expect. So obviously curses are very dangerous, and yeah, those guys that are spitting that poison out, they can do like a poison bone spear, and that really hurts. So if they do that at the wrong moment, it could like basically like one-shot you. I am going slowly because I'm going to be looting all of this, and yeah, so I'm using my curses. We're using decrep, weaken, life tap, and amplify damage. Not in that order. I think it's decrep first always, and then after that I go I think it's amp, lower res, and then weaken, and then I'll weaken, and then I will detonate it with Dark Pact, and then reapply weaken, and then Dark Pact again, and kind of go. That's been my like normal rotation, and I find that that's really useful in groups because always on all monsters we have decrepify, amplify damage, and lower resist up, and for group play, like you can't beat that. So early on, I tried to use Confuse and Iron Maiden, so I might even respec to. Yes, this is me switching it out. I was like, oh, you know, the Confuse and the Iron Maiden is kind of garbage because when you use Confuse, they attack faster against people that are around them, but that means that you can't really decrepify them because that's countering the speed up of the attack speed of them killing themselves. So it's kind of like a weird situation. So those blood bears, those big siege beast looking guys, if they melee you, it's like a big problem. Other than that, the succubuses that shit out all those high physical damage attacks, normally it's a problem, but not really for Dark Pact, because the way that they position, it makes cursing them and then detonating with Dark Pact really easy and really easy to kill. They're also pretty squishy, so very easy to kill them. And in this map, there's no real magic and physical immune, because that's pretty much the damage types I'm doing. Is the Udwars are doing physical, and I'm doing magic damage. And then my merc is an Act 4 light merc for Sanctuary, and he's just Holy Bolt and Fist of Heavensing, which is great, because that does give me a little bit of lightning here and there. And yeah, so we're just running around and killing some stuff, and I am going to be looting this whole map. Yeah, those Night Lords are like the ghouls from Act 3, like near like Travancore, but these cast a Blizzard and Frozen Orb, which would be incredible if you could revive them, but you cannot. You can only revive like certain monsters here. So again, first time doing this, I'm taking it very slowly because I have no idea what to expect. Now I kind of know what's dangerous and what's not. Like the cat things, those little undead, those aren't dangerous to me at all, really. Especially if I get decrep and weaken up on them. The blood bears, just don't be in melee of them. And then pretty much it's all the poison guys. And then to take out the succubuses when I can. But it's really mostly those poison guys. And yep. And so there's 2 bosses in this map. I'm coming up probably in the next minute or so. I'll be coming up to the first boss. And I don't know. Let me know but in the comments if you like the speed up or if you wanted the entire 50-minute slog of a video. But I just thought this was kind of interesting, kind of neat, and I'm going to try and refine this and make this as better as possible because honestly it was a really fun way to play. I felt like the experience gain was probably not as good as, you know, tier 3 public mapping, but it was pretty good, and you know, I get a chance at really good drops, so I'll probably continue to do this and just do this with like, you know, a small group of friends. I've got a a Warcry Bar, that'll make us all very, very tanky and healthy from, having like a level 50 battle orders, and then +3 to all skills with his battle command, so that'll be really nice. And then I have a friend that has both a Frozen Orb and a Shattered Wall Paladin. So we'd probably bring the Frozen Orb sword just because the single target with the Pierce with lower res is just like insane. So I think that'd just be like the higher damage. Although, the Shattered Wall Holy Freeze could be like really, really useful. So I'm not sure. We'll probably play around with that. So kind of just going through here, just clearing up some stuff. Again, the succubuses are really easy for Dark Pact to kill. It's never been much of an issue. I noticed in this map I'm pretty much constantly either amped or low resed, which is rough. So I do recommend that if you do this in a party, I'm going to go over some like merc options in another video. But I'm using the Act 4 light when I'm soloing with this build, but in groups I would highly, highly, highly recommend getting a Act 3 Fire Mercenary and just pumping up their +2 skills as much as humanly possible. And that is strictly to get Cleansing Aura to really high levels. And Cleansing Aura is very, very good. Because basically most curses will be gone in about 4 to 6 seconds if you have a high level Cleansing Aura. Even more if you can get like reduced curse duration or something like that. So, yep. And again, we're killing stuff, we're looting, we're going through. And yeah, up here is where I believe the boss is. It's gonna be like hanging like a left. And I wasted a lot of time. I was like trying to resurrect like these, frenzy lords. I was trying to, resurrect lots of different things. Making sure that I keep up my enchants, having 8 revives, make sure my merc doesn't die, positioning correctly. So here's where the boss is, and I'm going to kind of slow this down in a second. So play back to normal. Let's take a moment. Yeah, so this is kind of like the speed of it. It's kind of like laggy right now, but also it feels like super laggy after wait, is this right? Is this speed right? There we go. Okay, yeah, that's right. It just feels off after watching it on 4x for so long. But yeah, so I clear that curse and I'm like, oh crap, my merc died. I don't really know what's going on. So what's happening here is there's a boss that is like a Herodrum, and he shits out magic damage, and it really hurts. He also does like, I think, Volcano or Firestorm or whatever. That's why you see all that fire stuff on the ground. And it's really, really, really dangerous. But my problem is there's a bunch of other monsters. And so I feel like I need to maybe try and kill them before I kill the boss. So I come over here. I'm like, oh, that was a really bad idea. Why am I trying to fight? Okay, there's that Herodrum. Now I finally see the boss. And so I realized, like, okay, well, there's no other bosses over here. I'm fighting Elmagard the Unholy. I kind of get into a really good position here. So I can curse him around a pillar so he doesn't have exact line of sight on me. But I can still apply all 4 of my curses. And so, yeah, I think it's just, again, there's like visual bugs with curses, especially when you apply a ton of them very quickly. So, yeah, amp damage, lower resist. Then I do weaken, and then sometimes, depending on the situation, I'll do either life tap. So I think in this case I was doing life tap because it looks like he's just spell casting. But if it's a physical damage dealer, then I will do Iron Maiden sometimes. And so it takes some time, but he drops. This boss actually goes pretty well and pretty easily, and this is honestly how like a lot of my Ubers go when I'm duoing with my Frozen Orb friend. Is that basically we'll hang out and I'll curse. Notice that there's so many items that just dropped that I can't even see them. I was like, what the heck's happening here? But you can see it on my mini map. They're just like everywhere. So I'm like, oh no. So I get on my loot filter. I'm like, let me lower the level maybe. Let me turn it off. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. I'm going to turn this back up on the speed again. So basically what's happening is I have to pick up items so that I can see the other items because there's just too many. So I pick up items and then I move them away. Then I come back, pick up more items, move them away. And so again, this is kind of taking a lot of time to just do this just because I want to get to that Quay Higgins, I want to get to the World's End Shards, stuff like that. So we're going to go back up to 4x speed. Again, so this wasted a ton of time. I had to organize my stash. I had a bunch of items, so like let's clear everything out, put it in the stash, save it for later, and then go over here, loot a couple things, loot a World's End Shard. Trying to sort out items, figure out if there's anything good, if anything's bad. Again, just taking my time. Got the Q Higgins. I got a couple maps, got some boots, got some rings, whatever. Kind of getting through it. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I don't see any icons on the ground on the mini map. I think we're good. Again, I have amp damage. I don't have that many potions on me at the moment, and so I'm starting to make my way through here. Pick up that GC. I've got lower res. I realize I've been playing for a little bit, so I resummoned some stuff, and I'm like, oh, what is this? Is this a boss room? No, it's not. Okay, let me go ahead and just get rid of some stuff. So when you come down here, this is kind of just like a giant square. And so I'm fighting my way around, and I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't have very many rejuves at this point. I've used a lot of them, and I don't have any on me. But I start fighting, and things seem to be going pretty well. And yeah, there's a lot of these, blood bears or whatever. And I'm getting a lot of rejuves out of it, so that's really, really lovely. And then so I'm making my way over here, and then I find another boss once I kind of get rid of some of this stuff. So I find another boss, and I don't even really realize it. Let's see here. Yeah, so here's the Stygian Beast. And so this is weird because I'm just going to keep it as like super high speed because my mercenary keeps getting like destroyed randomly. So he just died, and I'm like, oh crap. So I go and res him. And so what I realized what was happening here is there's these little fallen that'll spawn from either the Stygian Beast or just because of the map. And they'll spawn kind of in the back line where me and my merc are, and they'll basically like one-tap my merc. And so, yeah, so basically I'm just trying to make sure I'm keeping my revives up, keep them enchanted. I'm slowly backpedaling so I'm not getting like pounded by that Armageddon. And yeah, he's just really, really hard. So what I've been trying to do, and what I realized is like I couldn't find Udwar. So I was like, oh, I'm going to back up and need to go to the level above, or just make sure I have a bunch of Udwars. So I get them back up, and then we go ahead and curse the boss and get, try and get Iron Maiden going as well, because, he hits really hard physically. So we figured maybe we could reflect a lot of the damage. And yeah, that's basically it. We just kind of, it takes like probably a good 3 or 4 minutes to like kind of get through it. I think this is me setting up the Iron Maiden because I was like, oh, that'd be a really good idea. So again, loot explosion, got some Alder's boots, yada yada yada. Revive my merc, kind of go through it, and then yep, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna just finish going around this square, just finish killing all these different monsters, and then I'm gonna go back up to the top. So yeah, there's another, 15 minutes of me just clearing this stuff, but at 4x speed, it should be, the next, like, whatever 15 divided by 4 is. So about, like, 4 more minutes. So rebuff up, re-get my, my enchant applied. And the Death Lord seemed to be really easy. Also, one thing to note is those little Shriekers, you can actually revive those, and they will fear, which is really, really cool, because then you don't actually have to cast any like terror or anything. You just have a revive that will cast terror yourself. So it's been pretty nice to not have all Udwars, but to get a little bit of mix of the terror guys. Unfortunately, when you get the Undead Stygians, they aren't as good. But yeah, see, I'm alt-tabbing because I'm talking to somebody. So, like, again, we're not hardcore gaming at this moment. We're just kind of, trying something new. Oh, I got a really cool revive offhand. That's a +5 revive offhand. So, love to see that. And honestly, this was just a ton of fun to play the game because, like, mapping is kind of like, let's go as fast as possible. And especially in public maps, you're like, oh, I hope that, I get the high rune that drops for whoever ends up getting it or whatever. I don't know. Like, so this seems like a good mix for me to be able to get, sorry, I just took a screenshot of that. And yeah, so I'm just going to make my way, finish clearing the top area. And that was it. Those are the 2 bosses. And so everything else is pretty much what you've already seen. But I will show just the rest of the map. Dark Pact, I mean, it does work. It does hit pretty hard here. And this is the only dungeon that I've done so far. I'm interested to try other ones. Like maybe I do much worse on the other layouts or the other monsters or the other bosses. So that's something that I'm definitely going to discover. But yeah, I want to get to a point where I can, me and a couple, friends can just fly through the dungeons, because really stuff like Ubers and Rathma, I would love to be able to do that and stuff in a group. But bossing is so much different than like generic mapping that it's kind of challenging. So I'm trying to set up a different setup where I use Nature's Peace Rings and like a Guardian Angel to just get a bunch of max res while still maintaining a high enough plus to skills to get the maximum amp and lower res. So like maybe we'll do some group Uber Uber Diablo or Declone or whatever, and Rathma, and maybe even try Lucian. Who knows? But probably not. But yeah, we're just looking forward to pounding some maps and getting some experience, getting some drops. So, and this is definitely significantly worse on experience for me, just running tier 3 maps with EXP shrines, with 8 men, like 8-man party. But that being said, as far as experience plus drops, for me solo at this time, this is definitely the best. Well, maybe running tier 1s very quickly, or some other map might be better for drops, but that's gonna be pretty bad for experience. So, yep, just pretty much finishing it up. Yeah, there's that blizzard from those Night Lords. Again, lots of looking at different items, just curious. This is a level 92 zone, so I mean, pretty much every item that rolls can roll like pretty well. I run out of ID scrolls here, but that is pretty much the end of the map, I believe. Yeah, I just go back through, clear up this last little corner, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep. And then I'm going to slow this video down because I do just showcase, let me pause it real fast. So playback speed, we're going to go back to normal. And it's going to feel like it's crawling after going on 4x speed for so long. But yeah, so I'm just going to sort through my inventory for a second. But I did want to showcase, like, this is the gear. So I have a Black Hand Key, Trings, Wisp, Arachnid Mesh, Skin of the Viper Magi, BK, Dark Force Spawn, Rite of Passage for CBF. Then my merc is running Ondals, Shaco, Viper, 20 FCR gloves, Arax, and then just random res plus MF boots. So that's it. All right, so that's it. Yep, lots of different stuff to learn. If you want a full in-depth dark pack guide, I think I've done one of these in the past, but I've learned a lot of different things doing it so far. I'm thinking about making a whole nother video on, just starting out, how do you level it in early game, farming, corrupted zones, then trying to transition to mapping, group play, dungeons, even bossing, trying to cover all of that. So that's something that I'm probably going to be working on in the future. If you have any questions about this, or, if you have any ideas like, hey, you should try this, or this might help you out, I would love to hear in the comments down below. But I hope you all are having a great time playing Season 10, and I'll see you next time.